Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the 3rd and 20 Dynasty Podcast, Season 2, Episode 41. For the first time since the draft, I believe, we have the whole crew back. Lewis and Jake were out last week. I was out 2 weeks ago. But now everyone's back, and we do have some interesting news and notes to kick it off. Nothing too crazy, but Jarvis Landry, he's signing with the New Orleans Saints. I'm just going to kick it right off to you guys. Does this move the needle at all, dynasty perspective? How does it, what does it do for Landry, Michael Thomas, Olave, Jameis Winston? Who's it affect the most, the least? Go ahead.
Does Michael Thomas play another snap for the Saints?
Yeah, I think that's the bigger thing. I don't think Landry affects Michael Thomas as much as Michael Thomas affects Michael Thomas. Like, I don't know what's the deal with his ankle injury. I read somewhere that he's still not fully healthy. I don't know if any of you guys saw that.
I don't know if it's about even his health at this point. I think it might be the Saints wanting to move on from him wanting to move on from the Saints, just a kind of a mutual split here. I don't think either is too happy with each other right now.
I don't know. I feel like because the Saints have made some moves to keep this window open, to me, that's what Michael Thomas wanted, is he just wanted to be part of a contender. Saints kind of seemed like they were going to have to rebuild after Breeze. They've made moves to put together a pretty competitive offense. I don't know. I just think in terms of Landry's stock, pretty stagnant, right? Landry's going to get his piece of the pie. He's too good to not demand a decent amount of targets.
Absolutely.
What happens with Michael Thomas and Olave, I think no matter what, it's speculation, but for sure, the tight ends, there was already a shit show in New Orleans where it's like Taysom Hill's going back. You already have a split between Troutman and Juwan Johnson. It's like now all of a sudden I don't want anything to do with these tight ends. And another thing I might want to pose to you guys, everyone is going and saying like, oh, Abram Smith could be a guy that's in line for touches. His stock has been rising in rookie drafts and by consensus. Do we just see a New Orleans team that's like, okay, we're just going to not use this two-headed backfield as much, and we're going to throw the ball now that Sean Payton is not there more than people are expecting?
I would love for them to just unleash full Jameis over here. Just let him be the fullest potential of Jameis Winston, 30-30 season. I would absolutely be for it, not gonna lie. Do I think it happens? Probably not. But
that's just like all their moves are pointing to like, we're gonna throw the ball.
Yeah, this is I'm kind of agreeing with you here, Frank, in terms of like, I think this is gonna be a team that is going to model itself similar to the Buccaneers offense of the Jameis 30-30 team, where you had the Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Rashad Perryman. You have three, I wouldn't call them similar receivers because Michael Thomas, no one's similar to Mike Evans in that regard for Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave, but you have three good receivers that, should be getting the ball a decent amount. On top of that, you had Cameron Brate and OJ Howard. You have Troutman and who was it? Juwan Johnson,
Taysom Hill.
Also,
I think Olave kind of fills the Mike Evans role, thoh. In terms of like that vertical threat, they're not similar. They're not similar body types, but I think they fill a similar role.
I guess.
I actually think Landry being there will be good for Olave. It's deep secondaries are only going to focus on Olave. Who are they bringing attention to? Troutman, James Johnson.
I think it's a weak argument though. If you're debating like what secondaries are going to focus on for Chris Olave, it just tells me Chris Olave probably isn't that good. It's kind of like the Devontae Smith argument. Like, oh, secondaries were keying in on Devontae Smith. That's why he couldn't be good. I don't necessarily agree with that. I just think if you're good, you're good, and you're going to get the ball. I don't know though. I think for me, it's kind of just a wash. Like, this isn't a very exciting Saints team. I feel like, even though it has all the big names, I don't think these guys are going to be all that great, other than Michael Thomas. And I think Jarvis Landry will be fine. Like you said, Frank, he kind of just is who he is. He's going to get that like 20% target share. He'll be a serviceable wide receiver on your team that you can kind of just depend on and plug him in. But other than that, I'm not too hyped about this team.
Dude, I like the Saints. I think the Saints are going to be a pretty darn good football
You
team.
are a Saints guy.
Yeah,
They have a top 5 defense in the league, and now look at all the weapons they add on their
If you
offense.
have all that Steelers stuff behind you, I'd be like, oh, Frank might be a Saints fan.
I don't think they make the postseason.
I agree with Joe. Saints believe they can make a run this year. Nobody else does.
Make a run.
My name's nobody else. All right, that's all I'm saying.
I mean, I'd be impressed if they reach like the 7th seed. They might get like one of those last wild card spots, but that's for me. I think their ceiling, and then a first round exit.
Yeah, well, all right. I think we all agree Tampa Bay's probably got. Well, I don't know actually.
Well, what about
Saints?
Jameis?
Could give Tampa Bay.
Can we get to Jameis a little bit? What is Jameis's price tag now?
He is who he is. I don't know. So he's probably still in the mid-second.
Right?
Mid-second, sure.
I'd say mid-second. I'm not. If I have Jameis, I'm not trading him for a late second, especially in this draft.
He's
I'm
worth
pulling it up
apparently
now.
an early second-round pick, right around Brandon Cooks, CEH, Tony Pollard. That's actually a little bit higher than I thought it was. But dude, QB 23. I actually like Jameis as a buy right now.
I agree with that.
Like, to be completely honest, this is going to be a hot take. I'm coming in here. I'm just going to forewarn you.
Okay.
Prepared. I'm getting prepared.
I think that Jameis Winston and Derek Carr are way similar in price, or they should be more similar in price than they actually are. At the end of the day, Jameis is still under 30. The dude's a former number 1 overall pick. He's shown it before. I mean, the guy's a fucking awesome dude. Right now he's in that category where it's like you could probably still get him for a second. I think realistically he should be worth a late first. I'm not going out there and buying him for a late first, and especially not like a 23 or a 24 late first. But you're telling me a 2022 112 111? Come on. Well, I think realistically Jameis should be up there.
Who would you rather have, Kenny Pickett or Jameis?
Jameis.
For Dynasty?
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett.
Well, that's an interesting argument. I think part of it because Kenny Pickett just needs to show a little bit and his price will skyrocket, where Jameis kind of has to be a stud for his price to skyrocket.
Well, let's not even talk price about like flipping them. Like, let's just say neither one you're going to trade. Like, you're just keeping in Dynasty.
And your quarterback too.
Exactly. I think I'd rather have Jameis.
I mean, how many seasons do you guys think Jameis is going to be a starter after this?
He's only 28. If he has a good
how many
year.
seasons Kenny Pickett is.
Yeah, but being a first-round pick will buy you some leeway with a few seasons.
Yeah, but dude, Jameis only needs... If Jameis makes one run this year, if Jameis goes out and wins the division this year, he is getting a contract extension in New Orleans.
I just do not see a world where the Saints can beat the Bucs for the division.
I just disagree with that. Look at the problem with the Saints last year. The Saints had a nasty team. Their offense was just bad, and it was good with Jameis there. It was good.
Am I crazy? Was that this year or last year? Like the 2021 season or the 2020 season that the Saints beat the Bucs twice?
That was last year.
As in this most recent season?
Yes, this most recent season.
Yeah, so I that's why I originally was on the side of Lounis, and then I was like, wait, but the Saints already did beat them twice.
Dude, their defense has the key. Dennis Allen has the formula, and they have the personnel. They're the only team that can go toe-to-toe with Brady because that secondary is super physical and extremely talented and very well coached. And they have a really good pass rush. With their defense is fucking amazing.
I know that their defense is great. But I don't believe in the offense. Like, I love Olave. I think Kamara is obviously a superstar running back. I'm just way lower on the Saints team and way lower on Jameis Winston. I think, like, if I had to set an over-under on seasons that he starts, he's going to start this one probably like 2, maybe 3. I don't see him starting that many more seasons. Like, he was all right last year, but I think if the Saints miss the postseason, well, they actually don't even have their first. But I don't know. I don't see it. Like, for me, Pickett was the easy decision to take. And I'm not even high on Pickett. I just know he's a first round pick that Pittsburgh took. So
I mean,
he's going to have a couple seasons.
Yeah, I'm with Joe Herbert. Let Jameis cook.
From a value perspective, right? Like Pickett's just more valuable currently, so I get that. But like, let's say that whatever evens out the value you could get on top to move from Pickett to Jameis, I'm taking Jameis. Because I mean, just like look through all the quarterbacks picked after pick 15, shout out Mac Jones, in the first round. You got like Kenny Pickett, Jordan Love, Dwayne Haskins was pick 15, but still, Lamar is your one guy that you could kind of point to and be like, okay, Paxton Lynch, Johnny Manziel, like there's not many good players picked after pick 15 that end up being anything. And at least with Jameis, we have seen, although how ugly it was, his 30-30 season, from a fantasy standpoint, like you live with that all day.
Yeah, I'm more concerned with being able to throw touchdowns than I am with, oh, you throw a lot of picks. Let's look at the other Saints quarterback, Drew Brees. Let's not act like he didn't throw a lot of interceptions.
Oh, I thought you were going to bring up him.
I mean, he didn't throw 30 in a season. Like, obviously, Jameis threw a lot more. But, dude, if you look at Brees' numbers, he threw a lot more picks than you would think. So, if there's any team that's going to put up with Jameis going out there every year throwing 15 picks, it's going to be the fucking Saints.
I think it was a part in my Take podcast that was like, imagine if Brett Favre was playing in this day and age, like people would crucify him with how many picks he threw.
I don't know, I mean, we can move on to end it, but Jameis like didn't really do much. Like he's all right. Like he had a beneath 60% completion percentage last year, but ignore that.
Give me the crab legs.
I don't see them as a playoff team. If they are, they're probably a 7 seed and first round exit.
Maybe I should put in a bet for them to make the playoffs. Betting JT.
I'm way lower on the Saints than Jameis.
I should have made a bet with you last year with the Raiders not being a playoff team, or the Raiders being a playoff team on my end.
No, the Raiders surprised me. I'll admit I'm higher on Derek Carr now, but no, I don't see it with Jameis.
See, now I feel like this is the year that you shouldn't be higher on Derek Carr. Though.
No. I just kept saying I used to be like
yeah. Well, okay, you were a hater.
Yeah.
I was a Derek Carr hater.
It's not like I'm like a fan of him now. I just don't like hate on him as much.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. All right. Now we can move on to Deshaun Watson has a potential suspension looming. He's meeting with NFL officials down in Houston, I believe. Personally, I think he does get suspended. I don't know if you guys are on the same page, but is there concern over length, like whether it's? I think if I pulled the room, 4 games. Do we think 4 games is probably what's coming? You think higher, Jake?
I was thinking 8.
I was thinking 6 to 8 as well.
I think it's going to be 8. I'm guessing he might appeal it and say like last season was kind of. I literally this is a situation where I have zero idea how it's going to go.
That appeal. That last season, but how many was Zeke suspended? I think you see a similar suspension.
Wasn't it 6? But got reduced to 4.
Yes, but that was also there was no proof and no one case, not 22.
Yeah. No, that's true.
No, wasn't there a video?
There was a video, but the case number part is true.
Well, video component's big, as we see.
Yeah, see, I think of like JT's right. The video matters more than the crime or the evidence, like the allegation.
Oh yeah, because the NFL just cares about the PR.
Look at Kareem Hunt, look at Ray Rice. Those guys, the video came out, and then all of a sudden, the NFL's like, "Yeah, we gotta suspend you." So
yeah, I genuinely have no idea. All I do know is that Ian Rappaport keeps on saying like the Browns kind of want Baker for when Deshaun Watson misses games, but obviously
that's not going to happen. That's
but obviously
regardless
Baker
of suspension or not, the money. Like I'm never a follow the money guy, but this is the one scenario where it's probably accurate. Where it's like, okay, they gave the guy $250 million. Like he's going to be playing. You know?
But did you see the salary for this year?
The salary for this year is $1 million.
Does that matter? Like Deshaun Watson's value matters long term. Like, I think if you were willing to hold the bag all of last year, 8 games or even another season isn't the end of the world. Like, it sucks. Don't get me wrong, but
I don't think this is. You could suspend him for the whole season. I don't think that really changes Deshaun Watson's dynasty value a whole lot. I think it's more so teams are in the position that they're like, am I a contender or not? And I'm sure they would feel a heck of a lot better if they had Deshaun Watson for, the majority of the season. So I think that's kind of where I would be looking at it, at least. Like, it does drastically change how you look at your team if you're going with a Deshaun Watson into the season or without. I think it's a small, like, although I may not agree with it personally, I think it's going to be a small suspension. So I don't think it's going to affect him a whole lot.
Yeah, no, I still have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, but hasn't his value, like, if you're concerned about a suspension, you can sell him now for at least a good enough price. Compared to last year, you couldn't.
No, I mean, suspension or not for Dynasty, if you have him now at this point after everything, I think you're just
like his
him.
price is at least high enough now that you can sell.
Yeah, you can if you want, but you're still not going to get the price you probably bought at, and it's just not worth it because if you let him play. Once he gets back on the field and people see he's still the Deshaun Watson we know from Houston, and he's going to put up those big numbers and big fantasy points, people are going to go, wait, what happened to him? He did what? It's fine. He's putting up fantasy points. Like it's just what happens. It's not right, but it's what happens.
The issue with Deshaun Watson, and this actually might be a bigger issue with Joe Burrow than anyone, is he's ranked like significantly behind Joe Burrow, and to me, it's like, Joe Burrow is a good quarterback, but he's just like that. He's going to get you 15 to 20 points per game, while Deshaun has that like 25 point per game kind of ceiling. And, career length shouldn't be that big of a factor. Deshaun's only a couple years older. Like, to me, I think Deshaun still has space to go up. So I personally wouldn't be, if I have him and I've held him this whole time and I think he's getting suspended, I'm not moving off him at this point. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, we could come back to this when we get the full details on what happens. Who knows? The biggest news of the week, though, my guy, Bryan Edwards, getting traded to the Falcons. Just, I love the disappointed look on Jake and Lewis's face as they brought that up. It's hard for me to even get excited about this, to be honest. Like, I like the change of scenery for him, but he's moving from his starting quarterback to his backup quarterback when he was on the Raiders.
I was about to say, you're going to be the number 3 receiving option in a Marcus Mariota passing attack.
Ideally, though, there is the idea, and it gives all of us Bryan Edwards truthers who, this is just terrible process on my end. If it was any other wide receiver, like, just sub in Denzel Mims or someone else of old who hasn't really done a whole lot yet, I'd be telling you to sell him on the hype instantly. But there's just something with Bryan Edwards that I can't shake. And it's just, if the Falcons aren't that good, they're going to get a quarterback, and then he's going to be the third option on a cool team with a cool quarterback, and then that's going to be awesome. And he might even be the second. He's better than Drake London kind of thing. So that's look, don't listen to me on any of this. Follow 0%. He's got
to beat out Auden Tate first.
He's better than Auden Tate. I will stand on it.
So the point I'm making is he's closer to Auden Tate than he is Drake London.
Look, I'm not going to comment. You know how I don't do as I say here. Just don't listen.
What's Bryan Edwards' price at right now? Did he get like a hype boost?
I would guess a mid-third.
Yeah, probably
mid-third.
Yeah, that's the issue. Is I was going to be the guy that's like, selling the hype, but
I think everyone's
what for?
Yeah. I was saying if you can somehow get like a late second, or maybe like Bryan Edwards in a third rounder to move into the second.
Well, you guys know where, but you know where I stand on this. But like, who would you guys rather have, Bryan Edwards or Tyquan Thornton?
Tyquan Thornton.
No, it's not worth it. Because if you're doing that, you're also giving up another.
At least like I kind of have an idea. I kind of have an idea of what Bryan Edwards is. At least with Tyquan Thornton, like we don't fully know yet. And that's pick.
Honestly, if it wasn't Bryan Edwards and it was again like a
say remove the name and it was just someone who had,
I would probably tell you to go get Tyquan Thornton.
Yeah, I think I'm taking Thornton.
But it's Bryan Edwards, so I'm not going to tell you to do that. But
at the end of the day, though, it's
you going down with the ship.
Yeah.
Bryan Edwards is currently wide receiver 84. I mean, even if you want to bump his stock up another 10 wide receiver spots, like, okay, now he's firmly a mid to late third. I think if you like Bryan Edwards before, there isn't enough of a price jump for you to really get off of him unless someone in your league is overpaying.
Yeah.
So I actually don't mind holding I wouldn't love it, but what else are you gonna do unless you're getting an overpay?
Exactly.
I mean, maybe
And
you
he's
could use him
also-
as a chip in a bigger deal, but
Or you just hold them and you reap the benefits of Terrell Owens, Randy Moss.
I think
Devontae
the other
Adams.
thing too, though, is that Bryan Edwards, at least at South Carolina, felt like, I don't have the stats to back it up, but he felt like he was the most inconsistent player of all time. One week he's catching 3 touchdowns against Georgia, and the next week he's doing nothing, and then the next week he's injured, and the next week it's back to 3 touchdowns. It's like, okay, if history's going to repeat itself, let me just wait one of these weeks for Bryan Edwards to have his 3 touchdown game against a good team, then we sell for a second, and then we're happy,
I actually agree with that.
and we get someone better.
Look, as the resident Bryan Edwards guy, I'm pulling up his stats right now. I would be surprised to see. Yeah, he's had 4 touchdowns his entire career so far. So I don't know when this multi-touchdown game is coming, but
It'll happen. It'll happen. Watch for that one random game against Carolina. Come on.
All right.
It's going to be
I'll
like a
take it.
Thursday night grindy kind of matchup between 2 teams who are like 2 games under 500, 3 games under 500. Bryan Edwards is going to go out there and have a 2 touchdown game.
He was like the league leader in just touchdowns taken away, though. If you remember the beginning of the season, he had so many like long touchdowns called back. All right, moving on. This is just whatever. No one cares that much other than me. OTA hype is now starting. I saw
And slander.
and slander. Treylon Burks needed an inhaler or something. On the other side, Wan'Dale Robinson, I heard, looked really good. Danny Gray on the 49ers, I've been seeing a lot of. And it's just, they're beat writers. I have no trust in any beat writer out there. I'm sorry, beat writers. I know you, it's your job and everything, but no trust, no faith.
It's not even
I don't
training
either.
camp yet.
We
Yeah.
want to know why I
We're
don't trust
doing
him.
these reactions.
Last year, I went to Steelers training camp. I came into the season thinking that Deontay was overrated. I actually rated him as overrated in our overrated, underrated segment. I went to Steelers training camp. I see Deontay Johnson just mossing everyone. And all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I was wrong. Deontay Johnson is good. I go on Twitter right after training camp and like during the training camp. I mean, it's tough to get signal in the stadium because they were doing it at the stadium with all the COVID stuff. But I'm going through after, and I'm seeing a whole bunch of people being like, oh, Deontay Johnson not having a good day today. It's like, bro, what? Like, this guy's out here. He's playing every snap. He is in every set, and he's mossing people. Like, what do you mean he looks? So if that's happening in Pittsburgh, it's only happening everywhere else, right? Like, it's only happening everywhere else. So yeah, I agree. You can't trust anything. And what's annoying is that sometimes it's right. It's just too inconsistent for you to ever put faith in it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when Darwin Thompson was lighting up Chiefs camp and then he moved up to like the beginning of the second when he was an undrafted? Yeah.
To be fair, I think Devin Singletary also, he got pushed up decently into the first. I remember.
Yeah, no, I never care about these camp reports.
It's just at the end of the day, when we have better metrics to go off of, unless there's like something crazy, and even then, it's like, okay, what's the crazy? Someone getting arrested? Is that even like training camp? Like, you just have to go off of the metrics that made you believe in the player more so than some random reports, because the metrics and the process that you have probably is a better indicator of success than the reports. So you just have to just live under the rock for a couple months, right? Like
Jamar Chase and his drops, Justin Jefferson worse than
Oh my
KJ
God.
Osborne. It's every year, and people fall for it every year, but we don't. We hold strong over here. All
yeah,
right,
you just
but-
keep like 8 containers of salt, no grains, like containers.
Frank mentioned talking about arrests during minicamp, and well, Jerry Jeudy got arrested. But to be honest, this kind of feels like a nothing burger. Seems like
we don't really know what's
everything
going to
was
happen
dropped.
yet. Yeah.
Did his price
I don't
go
think it's gonna be
down?
anything.
I mean, maybe
I
it took an initial drop.
They said he wasn't going to jail or anything. I don't know.
What we want to know what's hilarious is that I don't know if this is true. I think it is. I saw pictures on Twitter that the Broncos practice facility is right next to one of like the jails or prisons in Denver. Did you guys see that?
That's
No.
crazy.
No,
I
I
didn't see that.
So there were some great quality memes about that with Jerry G.
I pulled up his what do you call it? His keep trade cut chart to see what the public was doing about him. And it looks like
probably nothing happened.
Like
probably fell like one or two spots.
Like actually like 150 points. I think tomorrow we're going to do our Dynasty Stonks. Check it out on YouTube if you have not yet. It's a cool new thing we're doing. It looks like he actually did. He'll probably be one of the biggest followers, to be honest, next week.
He did drop. The thing is it tangible? Is anyone actually selling at this new price, or is it just keep trade cut bait?
Doesn't change the way I viewed him in Dynasty.
Yeah, he's. You know how I feel.
I don't think it's like a big thing.
All right, we can move on. Jerry Jeudy. It doesn't really feel like it's gonna. And then finally, this one's a tough one. Tarik Cohen.
That video.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch and listen to the? Because the main thing is not just you
pop.
heard the pop.
Yeah, you heard that pop. That was rough.
Yeah,
really
Tarik
feel
Cohen,
bad for the guy.
He was working out, actually live streaming his workout, and had a bad pop. People are saying ACL, MCL,
Achilles.
Achilles.
Yeah, I think it's Achilles. Whenever you hear a pop,
it was the back of his calf.
So, regardless, it seems like he's probably going to miss the season, and this potentially could be a career for Tarik Cohen. Just tough. He was actually someone that I was going to sneakily try and acquire around draft time when we do our draft or something, because I just figure he's so lowly rated on keep trade cut, and he's someone that could provide a nice little floor with his pass catching opportunities on an offense that really doesn't have a whole lot going for it. But unfortunately, real life stuff happens. Tarik Cohen back to back, just terrible injuries. I don't know. I don't have much more to add.
Backfield's it's going to be Montgomery and Khalil Herbert, and both of them are good. Khalil Herbert looked good last season when he played for
Khalil Herbert. Look real.
He's a good backup running back. Yeah. So it's just going to be them too.
Even though I do think Montgomery has the majority share and will have a good year this year, but I do like Khalil Herbert as well.
Yeah, well, that stinks. Sorry, Tarik.
Right. Yeah. Never want to see it. All right, let's just move on, though. Kick it off with our first post-draft rookie mock. We kind of talked about landing spots and how we think it affected people in terms of where they were versus ADP. But now we're actually going to go and put ourselves in a real life setting where we are going to mock draft these guys. We randomized the order beforehand, and so we have Lunis kicking us off with the 101, snaking it down. Lunis, who are we taking 101?
Oh, Breece Hall. I feel like he's just kind of been the consensus. This is my bad pick. For me, 101. This draft is pretty easy. I guess maybe you can make some case if you really love one of the receivers, but I think Breece Hall is going to be a stud running back. He's already is he on keep trade cut, like running back 6, running back 5?
Yeah, if you want one of those receivers, you should really try to trade down.
Trade back.
There's like a multiple round difference in startup value and in keep trade cut value. It's just consensus value. Breece Hall is easy one.
Yeah, so that's kind of the easiest selection of the draft.
All right, I'm up at 2. Breece Hall went 1. Me at 2. I'm going to stick to my guns. Joe Herbert's in chat. He's not going to like it. Jake's already typing it in for me. Treylon Burks. I know that he, not great. He needs his inhaler, but look, he looked explosive at least. He's working hard out here. He's pushing himself to the brink.
Yeah, if anything, it shows hustle.
Yeah, exactly.
He was gassed after one practice.
Yeah, in all seriousness, that was really good college
reach.
profile. Yeah,
that was a reach.
Oh, on Treylon Burks.
I mean, Breece Hall at 1, no shot.
Oh yeah, Breece Hall at 1. Yeah, no way.
Reach, terrible.
I can't believe Treylon Burks fell to me at 2. I'll just snatch him up here. But actually, I don't know. I've defended him enough. His college profile I really liked. I don't really care that he was the 7th receiver off the board or whatever he was. It doesn't matter to me. Give me Treylon. All right. Now moving on to Jake.
Well, I'm going to take my receiver 1 from the start. He went receiver 1 in the draft, and I don't see why he shouldn't be receiver 1 in rookie draft. So I'm taking Drake London. Love the player. Love the fit in Atlanta. Honestly, I think he's going to just have a great rookie year and not miss a beat.
Well, I'm gonna go in here. Oh wait, it's NYJ. Garrett Wilson at 104 here for me. Wide receiver for the Jets.
Captain Inhaler at 102.
General Inhaler to
you. Yeah, just kind of taking a falling receiver. But now, I mean, the top four, it's almost like, okay, mainly just 102 to 104. What order do you like those three receivers, at least for our pod? Because Kenneth Walker is kind of there. I hate 105 because I really just don't want Kenneth Walker. I do not want to pick him. But I don't know what receiver I want here.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing. It's like, all right, well, if you're not doing him, what are you doing?
I think I'm going to take Jameson, but
wow.
I'm not going to lie. I am actually considering George Pickens or Jahan Dotson. It's too high for them.
Well, funnily enough, in our league that we took over last year, Jameson Williams went
103.
Yeah. Which, let me make sure about that because I thought he could have even gone 102. He went, 103. So, I mean, it seems like he's just sneaking up there. I don't really know what he's done to, get pushed up. It's not like the Lions are an incredible landing spot or anything. He got drafted kind of around where he was projected to get drafted. But it just seems like he's moving up for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Jameson Williams. I don't love taking him here. But I think that I don't want Kenneth Walker. I don't think Kenneth Walker is that great of a running back prospect. So,
well, now Jake is up, and do you pull
swinging for upside?
Does Jake go with Kenneth Walker here?
I kind of agree with Frank that I don't love it, but just compared to the other players on the board, it's just you have to take him here. I'm going to do it. I don't think the fit's great in Seattle, but I think he's going to get the opportunity. I think this Seattle team is going to be not great, obviously, in the post-Russell Wilson years, and they kind of said, I think we're going to pound the rock here. They took a running back high. They still have Chris Carson if he stays healthy. They still have Rashad Penny. I think that's the way they're going to try to go here, especially with, it looks like, Drew Lock at quarterback.
You want to know what scares me about Kenneth Walker outside of some of just, the fact that he's a one-year wonder and, to me, kind of an underdeveloped runner and not great in the passing game? I don't think that... other than that...
Besides all that.
Do we really think Pete Carroll's going to be coach of the Seahawks next year? Are we really going to stick with this, with what we got going here in Seattle? To me, if you're going to pick one dumpster fire in the NFL day one, to me, it's Seattle.
I'll put it this way. You could have chose between Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll.
I was about to say, I think if they were going to, it would have been this offseason. Because it's like, now that Russell Wilson is gone, after he has a mediocre record with Drew Lock, now you're going to fire him?
Yeah, but do you trust Pete Carroll and what's going on in Seattle to rebuild?
No,
I know that.
The Seattle organization, I don't think, we're different looking at it from the outside. We're not the Seattle organization, who I think has made a lot of bad decisions in the past. And I don't think they're going to change. I think that's just who Seattle is. I'm sorry. I don't think that's the answer you wanted, but it's just
I kind of with you. I think if they were going to, it would have been last offseason. I mean, wouldn't be surprised if maybe 2 years from now or 3 years from now, sure, but I don't.
Look, this is a team that
starting quarterback next season.
In terms of
Russell Wilson,
yeah, true.
It's kind of, other than that, kind of just a bad organization. I feel like.
I mean, they did have all those, Legion of Boom that they drafted themselves, but. Bobby Wagner,
those guys.
I agree, but it's just part of me is like, okay, well, times are a little bit different. Another part of me is like, we got to give some credit to Seattle's other coaches as well for developing some players and having success with their systems. And I don't trust it. And with Kenneth Walker, Kenneth Walker definitely has upside. I'm not saying he doesn't. I see so many factors, and I feel like I have to get so many things to go right for him to really be an elite running back. I don't mind drafting him to trade him or trading back from the pick from Kenneth Walker if you're at 105. I don't want to take him. I don't want to have Kenneth Walker come to the beginning of the season, even if he has a lot of upside.
Sure, but I'm saying like I could understand taking Jameson Williams over him. He's probably the consensus 106. Or actually is the consensus 106. So like it doesn't make a difference. But after that, there's kind of a tier break where you're like, I really don't want to take Chris Olave, Sky Moore, Kenny Pickett, Christian Watson, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson. I don't want to take those guys with a top 5 or 6 rookie pick. I just don't think anyone really wants to do that. I think of anybody, you're going to want to take the running back with the most upside there. And I think that's just what happens to be Kenneth Walker in this draft. Do I love it? No, but I think that's just kind of where the board falls in this draft.
Honestly, you want to know what I forgot existed is Sky Moore. Is Sky Moore in consideration at all? I'd rather have Sky Moore than Kenneth Walker.
That's what I'm taking at 107.
Fuck you, JT.
Seattle didn't rush to draft one of these bad quarterbacks. Let's give him some credit.
Fair.
That's true. Yeah. Pete won't rebuild. He's gone if they miss the playoffs. I think Pete Carroll's gone after this year.
I think he might just. I think it might. If he's gone, he's leaving on his own accord, kind of thing.
It might be like okay, we'll nudge you to leave on your own accord, kind of a thing.
Yeah, okay. It could be like the Bruce Arians of this year, where it's like, hey, Tom's back. Maybe you should,
maybe you should not be back.
Yeah.
All right. I'm taking Sky Moore here after Jake took Kenneth Walker, wide receiver who got drafted by Kansas City at the beginning of the second round. Or was he end of the first? No, he's beginning of second, right?
I think he was like middle to end of the second.
He was mid-late second.
He was like 50 something.
No. He was like mid because he was like 40 something, I think.
50.
No, I'm pretty sure it's 54.
Oh, now we have a controversy.
Or was that Pickens?
But that's a mid-second.
Somewhere between
mid-second. Yeah, you're right. 54. Hit it on the head. Gotta give Frank credit there. Mid-second round pick, Sky Moore. I just think from a production profile, he's like the best group of 5 receiver that we've had in a long time. So with that, landing spot doesn't mean a whole lot to me. This is probably where I would have drafted him regardless.
He was worse than Dwayne Eskridge.
Dwayne Eskridge is like 27. Dwayne Eskridge is in like a nursing home now.
He couldn't beat out Dwayne Eskridge.
Yeah, I think the thing is that JT's looking at the age-adjusted production. Because if you do look at the age-adjusted production, Sky Moore is one of the best.
Yeah, he's up there with like Devontae Adams and Cortland Sutton, who they've seemed to pan out.
I agree, JT.
Yeah, he would have been. It would have been a toss-up between him and Pickens, really. I think, but this kind of, I like Sky Moore more, so I'm taking Sky Moore at 107. It seems to be right around where I don't think this is a reach. I hope.
I agree with you.
Him there.
At first, coming into the rookie draft process, I was kind of like, Sky Moore, like 107, 108. I don't like it, but I think it's grown on me a little bit. And if I were in your shoes at that spot, I might actually do the same thing and take Sky Moore there.
Thank you. Validation from Frank.
These next 2 picks are tough. I know who I'm taking with the first one for sure, and that's Chris Olave. My bad, Jake. I'll let you finish that up. I'm taking Chris Olave. Still liked him a lot. I would have taken Sky Moore ahead of him, but now that he's off the board, good draft capital. He's going to be the number 1 receiver there, and this apparently great passing offense, according to you guys. Now, I'm kidding, but
Michael Thomas is still there, Lounis.
But he doesn't. Do you remember when Deshaun Watson didn't pick New Orleans, and he's like, "Yeah, don't blame him." He doesn't want to be there. So now the next pick is tough.
No, it's not.
So I'm gonna like just close my eyes and just send it. Kenny Pickett.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking
Yes.
He's still a first-round quarterback, and if he just does, and I mean the thing that we've seen every single year with first-round quarterbacks, no matter how the rookie year goes, like Zach Wilson, you could still get a first for. Justin Fields, you could still get a first for. Mac Jones, you can get a first for.
Yeah, but those guys were so much. Oh God. Okay.
Mac Jones was in the teens.
Yeah, but he was a better prospect.
Yeah, he's got a point. Justin Herbert, you can get a first for.
Oh no, come on, no. I'm explaining look at Justin
Patrick Mahomes. Ever heard of him?
I'm pointing out the stats. Like it's not comparable when you look at Zach Wilson
What about Blaine Gabbert? Can you get first for Blaine Gabbert?
Maybe.
As you guys are comparing to like Justin Herbert, what was Zach Wilson's stats? Like, what, 9 touchdowns to how many interceptions? I don't
It wasn't great. He didn't have a great rookie
his
season.
stats were terrible. He just showed flashes, but his stats.
Yeah, but if you're going to go off rookie year stats, that's like for quarterbacks really not super predictive. Like it's not horrible.
It's more so the point that rookie, and you've said this point before, Frank. Like you're the one who said it before, that rookie quarterbacks, despite if they're a first rounder, especially top 20 pick, even if no matter what they do their rookie season, you could still get really good value for them after their rookie year.
You're right.
Yeah.
And so that's why, and again, I still have the philosophy if a quarterback goes, especially in the top 20, he should be a first round pick in rookie drafts. So at 109 here, I'm fine with taking him.
Dude, I'm sorry. That philosophy sucks. I don't agree with that at all. Like,
I think top 20 pick, yeah.
Because
sure.
Jordan Love. That's
top 20.
why.
Jordan Love was what, 26?
Okay, so now we're going to make the cutoff top 20. I agree.
Well,
JT's cutoff is better. Top 15 is the cutoff.
What pick was Mac Jones? Oh, was Mac Jones
15.
Exactly 15?
Yeah. I mean,
Mac Jones is just a better prospect.
I wasn't. Yes, I wasn't a big Mac Jones guy, to be fair. Like I was like, oh, we got Mac Jones. Like even like last year was a better draft, but at the end of the first, I was kind of like wincing if I had to take Mac Jones there.
I was like Frank, you've completely given up on your first round QB already before his career's even started. You're like, it's already a lock that he's gonna suck.
He's like, we should have taken.
I don't think it's a lock. It's just, dude, I'm not taking him at 109. No.
I think he should go end of the first round.
Sure.
I'll give Lounis points here in terms of like this is just an ugly draft class to me. Like
no, because then I was between him and Pickens.
Well, that's who I'm going to pick here at 110.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was between him and Pickens, and then from there, who else are you considering?
I couldn't let Jake get him here.
Jahan Dotson. I just feel better about Pickett. But go ahead with Pickens.
Sorry, Jake.
Back-to-back Pittsburgh players.
Yeah, I like putting Jake on the spot here because this is not where Jake wants to be with no Pickens.
No, I was really hoping he'd be there.
You got 2 Frank picks behind you. I could almost guarantee if you don't pick Dotson here, that's 100% going to Frank.
Jake is going to pick Dotson. Don't worry.
The smart move is actually to pick Dotson, and you'll know that James Cook will be there on the wraparound.
That is true. That will happen.
I don't know who I'm going to take here.
I am going to take Jahan Dotson here. I was a Jahan Dotson guy. I like him. I don't love the fit, but with potentially Terry McLaurin moving on from Washington, he could just kind of fall into this number 1 spot here. I don't love Carson Wentz, but you know.
You're banking on a lot of situations.
I would have taken. I like Christian Watson here.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, we know
thanks.
you do.
No thanks.
All right. Well, we go to Frank with 2 picks here. He loses Jahan Dotson, who.
Oh my God, this is terrible.
Take Christian Watson. I know you want to take
gross spot. I'm very intrigued.
I'm interested.
I don't want to trade
picks.
Who are the 2 guys you're taking ahead of Christian Watson right here?
This Frank and Jake spot is just a very rough spot in the draft. I don't like.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take Watson or Cook, one of them.
It's almost like I have 112 and 203 in our actual draft.
You're gonna have to lean into the dark side, Frank.
You gotta take them.
I'm going JT.
Oh my God!
Oh, you can fuck all the way off. Oh, you can fuck.
I'm going full JT right now.
All the way off.
I'm going full JT.
Oh my God! You did not. You did not.
Let's go. Let's go.
I cannot believe.
Dude, speaking of OTA reports, Stefanski did a JT. He wrote it on the freaking notepad beginning off season. David Beller bust.
He's to be fair, what he said was he was the first guy I watched and then told the GM he was a must draft.
Thank you. Now, does it make me feel good that their must draft they passed on twice before getting him at that 3rd round, end of the 3rd round?
And it was end of the 3rd round, right?
But he's a day 2 receiver. Day 2 receiver, good profile.
Day 2 receiver. Okay.
He will be
Hanging on
better
by
than
a thread.
Dotson. He'll be better than Olave. He'll be better than Christian Watson. Tyquan Thornton, I guarantee he'll be better than.
We still have the bet on Christian. I'm staying confident on Christian Watson over David.
Yeah, I know you are because you're not.
Well, here you go, Lounis. I'm taking Christian Watson here. I don't love it.
Oh god.
So, sorry for betting on the first receiver taken day 2 versus one of the last.
You're digging your own grave here, Lukas.
I'll stand by it.
The draft capital between a day 2 receiver and a day 2 receiver.
Top of the second round versus bottom of the third. Like the way you word thing, it's so deceiving. It's like I don't know how many picks there were in between both of them.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a wordsmith. All right, Jake, you're up.
I hate this.
Does anyone want to say anything on Christian Watson?
It's ugly.
It's
I like
ugly.
it. 201.
Why? What?
To be fair, I have him as a 112 ranking. So I mean, you picked him right there.
I think that says more about the early second in this class than it does about Christian Watson being a late first.
I mean, I've already said on previous episodes where my wide receiver rankings why I like Christian Watson, and I didn't get any lower on him from him being the first receiver being taken day 2 and going to Green Bay. I think that's only made me like him a little bit more.
I think
Watson, I just threw up in my mouth a little. Come on, Joe.
Who are you taking? Who are you taking over him here? Name like 2 or 3 guys that you would have taken over him.
Well, I mean, I have players I want to draft, so that might happen in a second. Who are you taking, Jake?
Oh God, I really don't want to take any.
Also, I think I'm coming out of my shell, and I think I might be moving Chris Olave above Christian Watson, which is not like a hot. That's actually like very much consensus. But
I mean, I have Olave ahead of him.
I was against that for a while. They're close. They're in the same tier for me.
Can I trade back?
Nope. Frank tried that already.
Yeah.
We know who you're going to
take.
Take a guy and move on.
Who am I taking?
Yeah.
James Cook.
You're taking Cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
I hate this pick. I mean, I don't love it. He's going to be a pass catching back on this team in Buffalo. So like, I just don't know how much opportunity is there. As much as people hate Devin Singletary, he's going to be there and he's going to get his touches. I know Buffalo's, wanted to get J.D. McKissick and then drafted James Cook in the second round. So people are all excited about that. I don't love it. And I've seen James Cook go in the end of the first, and I wouldn't do that with a 10-foot pole, but it kind of just is
the 15-foot pole.
I'm okay with it here.
At what
maybe if
pole?
I said my range for Cook was 202 to 204. So
I think my poll
I'm at 211.
James Cook goes more towards 211 than 204.
All
right, but I'll save you here, Jake, and get you off the James Cook.
The only other player I was considering here is Trey McBride, but it just feels like such a reach at 202.
I was really hoping you just say the player that I'm about to take here and help me segue in, but it's fine. Wan'Dale Robinson, I am taking.
What? JT for some reason has such a love for Wan'Dale Robinson, it makes no sense.
He's my 111. He's my 111.
That's absolutely insane.
Tinder Girl
JT has a 5'7" wide receiver at 111.
I don't care that much about the height. It's the BMI, if anything. But I mean, super productive wide receiver who got taken day 2 against 2. Who do you like? Trey McBride, I guess, is fine, but like he's a tight end. I don't think there's any tier 1 tight ends in this group. So I think ultimately they're all going to end up in the wasteland. Running backs, like I really liked Isaiah Spiller, but I mean the NFL kind of showed us that they don't love Isaiah Spiller. Nope, never even thought about Dameon Pierce. Ryan Robinson's my guy, but again, it's kind of like I don't know who else you want me to take other than Wan'Dale Robinson here, to be honest.
Mechie?
Yeah, Mechie's an answer.
Well, here, Lukas, you show me the 2 players that you're taking here, and we'll see.
So I was between 2 of 3 guys, and it's 3 of the guys just listed. I'll make my first pick being Trey McBride. I really thought you were about to take him, so thank you.
I was thinking of taking him at 201.
Benjamin Paul saying, I love how everyone hates on Pickett. Sorry, 1 second, Lukas. Benjamin Paul said, I love how everyone hates on Pickett, but doesn't feel just as sick about Watson, Dotson, and Sarah. I actually will listen to any argument after 106 because honestly, every time you hear I'm taking X, ... I kind of agree. Like, if you're taking Pickett versus Dotson versus Olave versus, they're kind of all just. So sorry,
In
Lukas,
like
I'll
a
give you
tier
some
together.
credit. Yeah, I'll give you some credit before you make these picks.
And so 205, I was between Pierce and Mechie. I'm gonna go Mechie at 205.
I like that pick. I almost took him at 202,
Mechie is someone that I probably would have considered after Wandale, but now I'm on the board again after Trey McBride. Kind of upset you took Trey McBride. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna follow the board. I'm gonna follow the board that I made, and that is telling me. Ooh, you put me in a tough spot because there's actually two people ranked right next to each other.
You go one of the running backs.
Yeah, it's either Brian Robinson or I think who I'm going to take. Nah, I'm not going to leak picks. I'm just going to go Brian Robinson. Doesn't make me feel like I just think banking on situation changing is not the best play, but I do think Josh Jacobs will be gone from the Raiders.
This area of the draft is IDP rich.
Yeah, we're not,
you heathens. I'd rather be drafting IDP than where I'm going to be picking at here.
Oh, God. What do I want here? Okay, I know what I'm going to do. At 207, I'm going Alec Pierce.
Fair enough. I'm a little bit farther down, but
I think, honestly, with what's left here, he has a better chance than most guys in Indy. Opposite.
I like that pick at 207.
Michael Pittman. So,
I think that pick's fine.
No issues with Alec Pierce here.
I'm gonna be taking Jalen Tolbert.
Oh, that feels high for Tolbert.
I like that though.
I like Jalen Tolbert. I think the role that he's going to be playing at in Dallas is nice. I don't love him, but I think it's a nice little pick here in the back end of the second. He's like a budget Sky Moore. I'm going to take Dameon Pierce at 209.
I was hoping he'd fall.
This is where I'm gonna just take an upside swing. Once again, it's a wacky profile. Definitely not one. But the thing is, this is because I like the tape on Dameon Pierce. I'm fine taking him in the late second. I don't really want to take him where he's consensus going at that 204, 205 type of price, because at least from what I've seen in drafts and what I've been able to do in my drafts, where I can take a late first and a mid second, trade up or trade out with a mid second, I'd almost rather try and do that than take Dameon Pierce or take one of the wide receivers that will be available in that early mid second range. But at 209, I think it's fine, especially because we've been wide receiver heavy in this mock.
I think that's a really good pick at 209.
Again, this is a tough spot. I don't want to do it.
Do it.
What do you think I'm about to do?
You're gonna take Jelani Woods.
No, you're gonna take
Brian Robinson, but
he's gonna take a quarterback.
I took Brian Robinson.
Isaiah Spiller.
Jake, I think
I'm
you're right.
stupid. Yeah,
I'm taking quarterback.
Which one?
Oh,
I'll take Malik.
Go ahead, take Sam Howell.
No, I'm taking Malik Willis.
Malik. Okay.
Tennessee.
Well, I was going to take...
At some point. Yeah, Joe Herbert. I'm not taking Justin Ross ahead of wide receivers with day 2 draft capital as much as I love him. I just had to take Malik Willis here. He kind of fell far enough that I was like, all right, I'm willing to bite the bullet.
Okay.
All right. Well, that leaves me up, and I'm going to take my quarterback as well. I'm going to take Matt Corral.
Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah,
because I was considering taking
L
QB.
draft. Come on.
Wait, what did he say?
Yeah. Let's go.
What was the comment?
Oh, for the podcast listeners, I'm gonna just run through the draft real quick for everyone. So Breece Hall went 101, Treylon Burks 102, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, Kenneth Walker went 106, Sky Moore, Chris Olave, Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson. Wrapping up 112, Frank went with David Bell. Then 201, Christian Watson, James Cook, Wan'Dale Robinson, Trey McBride, John Mechie, Brian Robinson. 207 is Alec Pierce, Jalen Tolbert, Damian Pierce. I just took Malik Willis at 210. Jake has taken Matt Corral at 211. And I probably should wait a second until we had 212 in. Because that would have been nice for the
Spiller slipped a bit too far given his opportunity with a good offense. You're not going to find much love for Isaiah Spiller on this podcast, unfortunately.
I was the Spiller guy, but it's just...
I considered him here.
I considered Spiller. He was the guy
I thought
other
about him
than
too,
Matt Corral, but I'd rather go the upside of quarterback.
It's just, it feels a lot like... If, you know, what's the thing? Like, Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Trey Sermon was a guy I really liked last year. Trey Sermon falls to a spot in San Fran, which a lot of people are like, oh, look at the opportunity he has. Trey Sermon goes in the second round. Trey Sermon doesn't do a whole lot. I feel like Isaiah Spiller is kind of in that similar area at this point, which hurts because I actually liked Isaiah Spiller more than Trey Sermon, but it doesn't feel that dissimilar.
All right, Looney.
Don't be the Knicks. Don't be the Knicks. It's the Knicks.
Okay. Am I gonna get guilted into taking Spiller? I originally wasn't gonna take him. No, this is a little bit of a wild card pick. I've warmed up on him a lot the past week.
Who's him?
Stop it! Stop this.
Oh,
was it because of that
Lounis and the OTA hype?
I haven't been able to keep up with OTA hype this week. I've missed a lot of it, including like the David Bell stuff. I was just reviewing a statement. I felt like I was a little bit too low on him originally pre-draft, and I think he's lined up to be the number 2 running back in a backfield. Fournette historically hasn't always stayed healthy. I think he can spell him on some plays. I think he can get a little bit of third down work. And I just feel a little bit better than I was between him and Spiller, and I just feel a little bit better about White here at 212. And then 301, I'm gonna go Desmond Ridder, continuing a little bit of the QB runs.
That's fine.
Brian Robinson is this year's Sermon. You may need to explain yourself a little bit, sir. I don't like any Brian Robinson slander here.
Honestly, they probably both could be. I don't
hugely disagree with that. But you are getting Brian Robinson probably a full round, if not more, later than Sermon was last year.
Yeah, where did I take him? 206. I took him 206. Sermon was like 202.
Dude, we landed him in our draft where at 311.
Did we get him that late? We got him late. I don't think we got him that
308, something like that. Brian Robinson.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the draft right now. Actually, we picked up Brian Robinson at 307.
Okay, 307.
No, 308. 308.
That's a fine pick to take a Sermon.
Yeah, feels like I did jump the gun a little bit on Brian Robinson, but this is just a weird. Like I don't like any of the other running backs this late.
Who are you taking your 302?
I think I'm ready to shock the world.
Oh boy.
Spiller.
Do I tip pig? I'm between two people, and either one of them is going to shock you guys. Tyrion Davis-Price, or the guy that I'm going to take, Tyquan Thornton.
No.
Oh, I was hoping you would. No. I was considering Tyquan.
All the Tyquan Thornton hate I have. I mean, at the end of the day, he still is a day 2 wide receiver with good draft capital on the Patriots, and I don't love it, but it's the 3rd round, and it's fine with me. Yeah, Skull. I almost just took him. I almost just took Tyrion Davis-Price, and maybe you're a little delayed because Rachaad White just got drafted at 212.
All right, Jake, who are you picking up?
Ooh.
I agree with you, Thornton, but I mean, again, we're talking in the 3rd round. Like, who are we looking at here? Like, who's Jake picking?
Why are you guys doing this to me? I don't like this. I keep getting stuck with the falling running backs, and I have to take him because there's nobody else.
Please take him. Please take him.
At 303, I am going to do it.
I don't hate it. I don't hate Isaiah Spiller here.
Like he does have the upside, and I do think the Chargers is a good landing spot for him. I think he'll complement next to Eckler nicely. It's just that his testing numbers are really nice. His film is very average. It's just blech.
I think it's fine here.
On a future episode,
I think I consider him at 301 and 212.
Right at this pick, it's not bad. It's because you're putting close to no draft capital into him, so it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know why we're cringing. I think that pick is fine.
In this entire draft, it started with Kenneth Walker, and then it got me James Cook, and now Isaiah Spiller, and that's the guy I was considering, Frank. So Frank tipped Jelani Woods next, which is the guy I was going between here.
I don't love Jelani Woods, but he got good draft capital, and the dude's a freaking Hulk out there.
He's very athletic.
So I'll take it as like a taxi squad developmental guy. I think this is a little early for Jelani Woods, like in terms of where I would like to pick him. Like, you know, if you were to aggregate pick values, I think Jelani Woods is more of like a mid to late third round value. But with this class, listen, people like Tyrion Davis-Price. I think he's pretty trash, to be honest. Like, he's just a one-trick pony. I feel like I'm taking what's his name? I don't think he's trash. He does his power role well, and that's what San Francisco wants. But I feel like you're taking a Malcolm Brown of the Rams a couple years ago. Maybe he has a couple good weeks. I just don't want to. I don't want to invest in that. And I don't think it's a great investment long term. Tyrion Davis-Price might increase his stock, and you might be able to sell him at some point. So I could be wrong. I'm
sure there'll be if real quick with Davis-Price. I actually don't hate taking him like early there if you plan on trading him, because I can already tell and see, I feel like we all do, that he's going to get a ton of training camp hype. Like, everyone's going to be like, oh, he might be the next 49ers back. And if you plan to trade him on during training camp, I think that's fine. But, like, to keep him on your roster into the season, I probably wouldn't do.
I have an idea for a future episode of ours. We should go back and look at our last year's draft and just grade it. Like a last year's mock draft.
Okay.
Around this time. And just grade
like that.
And see how we did.
What, like the post NFL draft one we did?
Yep.
Okay.
See how we did. Just to give everyone an idea. I'm sure I took Terrace Marshall way too high.
Yeah. Happens.
I don't know who the hell to take here. Dude, this is a reach, but I'm doing it.
Oh, that is a reach.
Wow.
Oh my.
We're going with Romeo Dobbs. There's a couple other receivers that I kind of want to take. Romeo Dobbs is one of them. Dude, he's just got such a good opportunity in Green Bay. At this point, I'm willing to have opportunity increase someone's stock enough to where I take them.
I don't want to be too disrespectful, but he was not on my board. I'm sorry.
How is he not on the board?
My 4 round boards. I could show you guys later.
Anyways,
I'm not a Romeo Dobbs guy. I'm sorry.
I mean, his tape is fine. I think it's good enough. You're just hoping that he gets that Packers-Rodgers connection early, gets a chance, impresses in camp.
Yeah.
Does Jake get off the running back train, or is he sticking?
What's going on, Pizza Dar?
No, JT, I'm on the running back train once again in a class that I don't like the running backs. I don't know how this is happening, but I'm taking Zamir White.
That's not the running back that I thought you were going to take, but
Zamir White, I had him as my running back 4 pre-draft. I still like him. I think the Vegas fit is going to be interesting with Josh McDaniels. I do think that they're not sold on Josh Jacobs, and I think Zamir White is a guy that just really runs well between the tackles. He's a bruiser, and you're going to see it, and he's going to get the opportunity. I don't think Drake, what's his name? Kenyon Drake is really a threat to him. I I just like it here. 306. I think it's worth the upside.
The only pick I really have my doubts about so far is where I took Brian Robinson. But all right, moving on. Sorry, I was just looking back. I am actually going to take Greg Dulcich here. The tight end for messed that up. Tight end for the Broncos. I talked on this pod probably like 2 months ago about Albert O and how I felt about Albert O, and I wanted to trade him for a second. I tried the Frank Mass trade, didn't really work out, couldn't get a second for Albert O, but this is exactly why I wanted to trade him, because I just think people are going to say, oh, Albert O, he's more athletic or bigger or stuff, but I just think looking at tight ends, I think Greg Dulcich is just the better tight end of the two. Plus, I don't know. I think this is a team that could run out multiple tight ends, even though they do have that 3 wide receiver group that they have, 4 if you put in KJ Hamler too. But this is just a very dynamic Denver offense. And with that, I'm just going to grab a piece of it with Greg Dulcich in the late third.
So these 2 picks might make JT throw up, but it's the end of the third round.
Probably.
So.
Yeah, I can't really fault anyone too much.
Just because he was a day 2 pick. I know he's old. He's gonna have every opportunity to
Here
step
comes
in. Here
Velus Jones.
Velus Jones.
Stop it.
That is.
This really isn't a bad pick.
At the end of the third round,
Yeah.
he was still a day 2 receiver.
Do you know he played on the same college football team as Sam Darnold, Ronald Jones, and
I can't get
Schuster?
I know.
I can't get as upset as Jake is here. I don't have it.
It's 308.
This pick.
It's 308. All of these are dart throws at this point. Like,
I don't hate it. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. It's just he's so old.
I mean, where did you have D. Askridge last year, Jake?
I mean, Eskridge is a year younger than Velus Jones was.
1 year.
Yeah.
I'm picking him at 308. It's not like I'm saying like, oh, we'll sneak him in the second. Like,
I knew Lounis was a Velus Jones guy.
Lounis screams. That's so mean, Skull Dynasty, but it's very true.
What is it? I've actually normally not been into like the older prospects like that. I wasn't like a Najee. I'm trying to think who's an older prospect that I liked a lot over the past couple of years. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure there was Tony.
Yeah, he didn't produce until late in his.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, it's a fair one.
I mean, he's not that old, but
all right, what's you taking here, Looney?
I'll take Tyler Algier.
That's who I thought Jake was going to take.
The model.
Oh, yeah. No chance.
The best running back of all time fell to 309 in the turn of events.
He already had Mike Davis.
We can't be analyzing Tyler Algier though. We can't take it. Yeah, for those who don't understand that reference, some guy commented on our Tyler Algier video that we can't be commenting on Tyler Algier because we can't take a hit. Which look at Lounis. Lounis can take a hit.
I've been taking hits all pod today, man. So yeah, I'm going with that at 309, which I'm good with Tyler Algier at the end of the third round.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Much better than Velus fucking Jones.
I'm fine with Velus Jones.
Yeah,
too. I'm not taking him anywhere higher than like end of the third, like not even mid early third, but I think end is fine.
Yeah, I'm struggling here. I'm between 3 players, to be fair, and I don't think any of them feel great to pick here. I am going to go with Khalil Shakir. Right? He hasn't picked yet. Okay, cool.
I was considering him.
Yeah, I'll tell you who I was considering in a second because we're about to wrap up the third round, and that's as far as we're going.
I was gonna say I really looked where he was like a 5th rounder, but again, I'm fine with it at the end of the third round.
Yeah,
because I mean, all of these are dart throws. Like I can't really shit on any pick at the end of the third round. Like if you think they have a chance, they have a chance.
Yeah, I would have taken him over Velus Jones. No, I don't know if I would have taken him over Velus.
Oh, so then my pick wasn't that bad. I
No,
thought you were
I
shitting
said
on me.
I couldn't. I could not hate it as much as.
Oh,
Jake did.
okay.
I didn't love the pick. To be fair, he was on my board.
It's not like the board's
Dobbs
looking
wasn't.
great.
I actually kind of like this part of the draft, like end of the third to the fourth.
It's a good place to have your dart throws. I like it a heck of a lot more than the early second, mid second.
How is this happening?
The players.
No,
Running back again.
Okay, Keontae, that's a fun pick. I like that pick.
yeah, I'm gonna go Keontae Ingram. Chase Edmonds leaves. They re-sign Connor. He's gonna get a chance.
I'm gonna go with Kyle Phillips. This is a dude that I'm getting. This is the right guy. This is the guy that got drafted by San Francisco. Correct? Not getting this wrong.
Well, yeah, I think so. Danny Gray got drafted there.
Danny Gray. No, that's who I wanted. Danny Gray.
Kyle Phillips. You had me.
I knew I was
Kyle
getting
Phillips.
that wrong too.
Yeah, Kyle Phillips is a defensive end who is a free agent.
Yeah, Danny Gray. I watched him not too long ago.
Here's Kyle Phillips for the Titans. Kyle Phillips is on the Titans.
Yeah, no, I want Danny Gray, not Kyle Phillips. I actually kind of like Danny Gray's film at SMU. I like his film more than Romeo Dobbs. Now, I took Romeo Dobbs earlier because of the situation, but Danny Gray is a dude that come like the fourth round, I like kind of snagging. I think he's a good little player. He's just a guy you just believe in the talent because it's a weird situation. You're asking yourself, well, how the hell does he produce? Because he's behind probably Debo and Ayuk, and then he's going to be competing against that dude from Tennessee, Juwan Johnson. So it's like, I think he's a fine player too, good with the ball in his hands. I don't know where he fits in, but maybe he gets a role.
Thank you, Skull. Skull likes my picks, guys.
I think Joe Herbert is a bigger Treylon Burks hater than I was Kadarius Toney, which is saying a lot.
I was gonna say, that's hard to do.
Yeah, Skull liked my picks too, so shout out Skull. He's riding with us.
All right, well, there's the mock.
Do we want to run through it quick?
Yeah, I'll speed run it real quick, and then I'll throw in some honorable mentions if you guys also want to throw in honorable mentions at
What
the end.
do you mean, like guys who?
No, let's just do it as a segment next week or something. Like,
okay.
Dart throwy dart
guys,
throws.
you should look at.
Yeah, like
right,
guys
fine.
in the fourth and
Fair
fifth
enough.
round.
Yeah. All right. Kicking us off at 101, Lewis picked Breece Hall. Then I took Treylon Burks, Drake London at 3, Frank Garrett Wilson at 4, Jameson Williams, Kenneth Walker at 6, Sky Moore 7, Chris Olave, Kenny Pickett, George Pickens at 110, Jahan Dotson, David Bell to wrap up the first round, Christian Watson, James Cook, Wan'Dale Robinson at 203, Trey McBride, John Mechie, Brian Robinson, Alec Pierce at 207, Jalen Tolbert, Damian Pierce, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, Rashad White to wrap up the second round at 212. Then Lewis went with quarterback Desmond Ridder at 301, Tyquan Thornton, Isaiah Spiller, Jelani Woods, Romeo Dobbs, Zamir White at 306, Greg Dulcich, Velas Jones, I'm still not sure. He went at 308, Tyler Algier, Khalil Shakir, Keontae Ingram, and Danny Gray for Frank to wrap it up at 312. There's a lot of players I kind of like after that, actually. So
yeah, me as well.
Maybe that is a good spot to be.
All right. Well, you guys ready to get in some team analyze?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We're kicking off with Parker's team.
Yeah, here
Parker's
we go.
team.
On the screen, team analyzer. What's funny is that they're actually all from the same league. We've analyzed so many teams from this league. Hold on, let me get this adjusted correctly. And boom. All right, so the two teams we're analyzing are... Where's Lucas? Lucas's team here, right? And then what's the other one?
Parker.
Parker.
Who do you want to do first?
Let's do Lucas.
Stick with. All right, we're going. Lucas.
All right, Lucas is a very interesting squad in this league.
I agree. This squad could really go either way, in my opinion.
Because, I mean, clearly he has a big need for tight end, right? Without a tight end, that's going to be one of the big reasons why there could be a bridge between you and other contenders. But literally every other portion of this team is very good, and it's a nice mix of young players and good veterans.
He's got 2 young running backs coming back next year with Dobbins and ETN.
Yeah, I really don't think you need to do much to this team. I think the only thing I would consider doing is moving off of one of the lower tier running backs, like a Damian Harris, even though I love him, Rashad Penny, Melvin Gordon, just because I think transitioning that into tight end or that plus draft capital into a non-super young quarterback could be a pretty good move, because then all of us, I mean, dude, even your quarterbacks are pretty fire. I didn't even see you had Mariota.
No, his team is deep.
You just need to get a tight end. Just get a tight end.
Who would be some of the tight ends you'd be targeting? What's like realistic? Or like
I want to get 2. I want to get 2 tight ends.
I want Gesicki.
You'd go after Gesicki?
I'd go after Gesicki here. I think he's an option that's not too pricey. I think this Dolphins offense obviously is going to take another step forward here. And I think he's a guy you can get for not too bad. I think he'll like you said, you could probably get him for Damian Harris, and I think that's something you'd want.
Also, he has picked 209, right? If you're in like the drafts and like you see Trey McBride there at like 206, can maybe try to do something with Melvin Gordon and 209 to move up a couple spots, or one of your other depth pieces to try to grab Trey McBride like moving up.
He doesn't have many draft picks this
year. But he does have 209, which is why I'm saying maybe trade one of your depth pieces to move up like 3 or 4 spots into that mid-second. And
that's
take
true.
McBride.
A depth piece in 209 to snag Trey McBride probably is a good move here.
To me, this is more of a team that's more like it's designed to kind of compete more so now, and I don't think Trey McBride is going to be a guy
that's going to help now,
contributes to you right away. I think you could get a cheap tight end, to be honest, like I don't know, scrolling down here, Zach Ertz. If you're looking to make a push, like Zach Ertz, I think is someone that I would try and target. Who, funnily enough, is also on Arizona, but I just think it's his role right now. It's his
rookie tight ends usually never.
Yeah, the thing is, I want to pick up all like I don't want to just pick up Zach Ertz and be chilling, or just pick up Trey McBride and then I'm chilling. I want to buy a nice upside tight end in a Trey McBride or a Cole Kmet. Then I want to pick up a Zach Ertz. Then I want to pick up, like Joe Herbert just said, right? A Tanyan, someone in that tier. Right? I want to have 3 tight ends more on this roster, because you're right. You have to compete with these players.
I like
you
the
have to
Brevin Jordan
compete
play
or
too.
sell.
Although I'm pretty sure I just traded for Brevin Jordan from this team. So,
but the thing is that
I like Tanyan as a buy a lot.
If you pick up yourself 3 decent tight ends that are good value for buck, and you just ride the end of Devontae Adams, Mike Evans,
Amari Cooper.
Yeah, Amari Cooper. Just ride these dudes into the sunset and just make sure you have a good mix of veteran and upside tight ends, so that you're not in the position you are now where you're forced to have to get a tight end.
No, I agree. And I wouldn't even go as far as like you need like 3. I think if you can grab 2, like a veteran and a younger guy, like kind of what we mentioned, like maybe like I don't know who's like Tanyan and because I think Tanyan will like give you a solid season for this year, and you're able to get someone young with upside.
I might even buy some. I don't know.
What about a guy like Njoku? Like, do we believe in him at all with potentially Deshaun Watson for cheap here?
I mean, insight, didn't this team trade away Njoku?
They did, to move up in last year's draft.
Yeah, so I don't know how much.
I think the last thing I might do is this is going to sound a little crazy, but I actually might pivot off of Marquise Hollywood Brown, just because you could probably sell him, pick up another veteran receiver, make up that value in tight end or more draft picks to then transition into tight ends. Keep the slew of draft picks instead of trading them all for tight ends, right? You kind of keep the horde you have now. And then you set yourself up where it's like, okay, if one of my veterans dies out, and becomes trash, then I can fill in with my draft capital in a trade or a draft pick. And then if not, I still have draft picks to be flexible, because right now, like, dude, this is a good team. This is a playoff ready team. Just get a tight end and you're chilling. And I want to maximize values of young players, mainly at receiver.
Would you guys try and move AJ Dillon? I know you talked about Damian Harris, Frank, but would you try and move AJ Dillon?
I'd try to move
I
one
was
of those
thinking
back.
about
I'd consider it. I'd probably rather move Dillon than Hollywood.
I think the problem is that you're not going to fetch the. I think you're going to have a tough time fetching the price that Dillon is realistically worth. And I like having this slew of running backs as a contender, especially when because he doesn't have a whatchamacallit, a Jonathan Taylor, or
he does have a Dobbins,
even like a Zeke, right? Like, he doesn't have that running back that's like, okay, this guy is proven he's going to be a beast. He has. Okay, they probably should be beasts.
I was gonna say Dobbins, I think, will probably give you as good a season as like a
but you don't know that. You don't.
I don't know.
That.
Yeah, no, it's projected.
His most reliable as of right now running back for production 100% is Leonard Fournette, even though he's not the most valuable.
I didn't even see Fournette on his roster.
Yeah, that's why. Like, you have a lot of running backs is my thing, and it's just.
Well, that's why I'm okay with. I'd be a little bit more okay with moving, because you got Fournette, Dobbins, Etienne.
I just think you'd have a better chance of trading Damian Harris or Rashad Penny for their value than you would trading. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't try.
Oh no, Penny's value is down to like.
Yeah, but it's just who's trading right now a future first for AJ Dillon? I just don't think many people are doing that.
Well, no, I don't think you have to. I'd be trying to move for like a player, like something that you mentioned, like maybe
you could try to trade him into a tight end.
Yeah,
but I like having
a ton of running backs,
dude. The thing is that he mitigates the risk of his good upside running backs that are all coming off injuries, might I add, by having more upside running backs. You know, like, if you have enough, some of them are going to hit, some of them will miss, but some of them are going to hit, right?
So Keep Trade Cut says AJ Dillon gets you Zach Ertz and a 2023 mid-second, and like, it's 700 points more valuable on the AJ Dillon side. I think that's a trade I would definitely do if I was in his position.
You might be able to get a second and a third.
This says a fourth rounder would even it out, but
a move like that,
I would make that move.
It depends on who has Zach Ertz, because there might. If that Zach Ertz team is not a contender, they might be looking to try and get out at.
Well, there's also probably a few people that are looking at. They're looking at Trey McBride at right. I'm not going crazy. Trey McBride's on Arizona now, so they're like, oh look, they just drafted a tight end. You know, how much longer does Zach Ertz have in the tank? Where I still think he has a couple of years, and you're kind of just replacing it with that mid-second rounder. Where
I mean, is there a blue chip tight end he could go after? Is there any consideration of going after a blue chip?
Who?
Unless you're backing up the Brinks trucks for Kyle Pitts, like I wouldn't recommend.
I mean, I think the big tight end I think the tight end after Kyle Pitts that you'd want to target that's actually a feasible option would be the Muth, honestly. If you wanted to go out and get someone like that.
The thing is, I'd just rather trade for Komet at his price than over a little bit of his price than the Muth.
I was really hoping you'd say Mark Andrews and just break the whole sell all Ravens.
No.
I wouldn't go with that. I wouldn't get Mark Andrews at this price, but I was hoping.
But that's why I'd almost rather get.
Be interesting.
Who?
Dalton Schultz.
No, Dalton Schultz is another one I'm kind of wary of. They franchise tagged him. I think him and Gesicki, who Jake suggested earlier,
he's cheaper than like a guy like Gesicki, though.
Do you have?
He's not. No, he's not.
He's not. Okay, never mind. Then take it back. I assumed he was a little bit more of a discount than someone like Gesicki.
No, I think both those guys are. I'm trying to fade those guys.
See, I just think the other reason I want to pivot off Hollywood is that I feel like he's just going to be inconsistent old Hollywood, and it's like, when push comes to shove, he's going to be a flex player for you. Yep. And I think that now there's not 100% chance. I still think Hollywood will be a 1,000-yard receiver, But I think right now Hollywood is reaching more of that price where he's like a 1,200-yard receiver than he is a 1,000-yard receiver. You can get you can trade for Jamison Crowder and a first for Hollywood. Move that first into a nice tight end, or just keep it and hoard it. Because I just think your other receivers are better. And when you need to get younger at receiver, I'd love to have a slew of draft picks to do it with.
I was thinking something like Hollywood for Jarvis and the 2024 first, which I think you could get done.
That's not bad. I still like Hollywood a lot. I'm on the side where I'd probably trade Dylan before I trade Hollywood if I'm trying to capitalize on some of the youth.
Let's see.
Okay, no los dos.
Is there a tight end that you can trade Hollywood kind of straight up for?
What's Hollywood's value at right now?
46,
it's
47.
Around Rashad Bateman, Mac Jones, Derek Carr, Cam Akers.
He's not too far behind TJ Hawkinson. What on top of Hollywood do you have to do to get Hawkinson?
I don't want to get Hawkinson.
You don't like
Hawkinson's over at this point. No, I mean they just keep bringing in more weapons. I think he's just gonna. Gotta be one of those top options on.
I think he will be. I think it's gonna be him and Jameson, and then Amon-Ra's the 3.
I think he'll be behind.
That's part of
eventually be behind Swift.
That's part of why I almost want to just accrue value out of Hollywood and then buy 3. That's kind of the other reason why I was saying, like, okay, buy 3 tight ends. It's like
3 tight ends is a lot in one offseason, though. It's because he still has.
No, it's not crazy, dude. If you draft one at 209, if you buy Cole Kmet, and then you buy Tanyan or someone else.
If I'm drafting one in the second, though, then I'm like, the Cole Kmet part of it is where I'm like,
but the thing is, if you're drafting a tight end, you're not expecting immediate production. You can trade for Zach Ertz, Cole Kmet, draft a tight end. All of a sudden, you have a great mix of good upside young players, good veterans, and now all of a sudden, because I'm thinking more long term, it's like I'm trying to buy tight ends now so that I can keep the ball rolling for multiple seasons, right? That's why I want to pivot off Hollywood, because I think for the next 2 years, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, potentially even Robert Woods, and a draft pick will be a good enough receiving core. And if you really need a receiver after trading off Hollywood, well, good thing you have all your firsts still, so you can easily maneuver into receiver. Might I add that the next class of receivers next year is pretty darn fucking good, right?
It's a very strong class. All right, you want to move on to the next team?
Yeah,
sure. I mean, dude, at the end of the day, just if all you did was traded for Zach Ertz, you would be fine, right?
Yeah.
For context, this is a team that just missed the playoffs last year, I believe.
Yeah, he got fucked with injuries.
But you really don't have to do anything crazy. If you just keep the squad by 1 tight end, draft a couple dart throws at the end of the draft, like a Jeremy Ruckert, like, okay, you're fine.
He's going to be set up. He is first and 2 early seconds in the 2023 draft.
All right, let's go to Parkeriscool. All right, here we go. Parkeriscool. All right, so rebuilder.
Honestly, if we're going, like, my first thoughts at looking at this team, obviously he has Deshaun Watson at quarterback and Kirk Cousins at quarterback. That's fine at quarterback. He's got his QB1 and a very solid QB2. In terms of running backs, he's going to take Breece Hall as the 101 here.
Yep.
So that immediately fills that RB1 slot for him. He's still doesn't have a lot of depth following Breece Hall here, but then he's going to have a very young, very good receiving core in whoever he takes at 4 and 5, whether that's
Garrett Wilson, London.
It's going to be one of Wilson, Burks, and London, and then maybe Jameson Williams. So at 5, so he's going to
you pray that Kenneth Walker jumps into the top 3 in the draft, and then some. I know probably won't.
Well, see, this is a scenario where I think drafting Kenneth Walker to sell is actually viable. Because I mean, I understand what you're saying. I don't think this team is going to contend.
No, it's not going to contend this year, but it's not meant to contend this season. But
I think it could be
obviously adding 3 top 5 picks is something that doesn't happen very often. And honestly, it's not a great class, but we all agree that there's a drop off here after, I guess, the top 4. So to get 2 of the top 4, especially having one being Breece Hall, it's a nice turnaround for this team, especially when you get Deshaun Watson back, hopefully off suspension.
Yeah, I agree. You just take BPA this year. You have 2 23 firsts that are both projected pretty early. You just need to do the classic 1-year retool. You need, like, those teams that you see on Reddit where it's just like all good young players. Like, that's what you need to turn into.
Is there anyone on this team that you'd be looking to sell this offseason before the season starts?
Yeah, basically anything under Dallas Goedert, I am trying to sell everything. I don't want any of this. Because at the end, even pick 16. Now that could be a David Bell or something, so like play the market a little bit, play a rookie draft, but all of these players are not going to be relevant next year. There's like a 90% chance that all of them aren't going to be relevant.
So I was going to say, that includes Kirk?
No, but
would you shop Kirk?
I think
that's the thing I'm like back and forth on.
I don't think you'll get a price that you want on Kirk here.
The thing is that you're going to have to wait until the mid-season to get the price you want on Kirk. You're not going to be able to get it right now.
If a contender loses one of their top quarterbacks and they don't have a good QB3, and you can squeeze out like a future first.
Because at the end of the day, keep trade cut is wrong. You will get a better price for Juju than you would for Kirk. And probably Dallas Goedert and a tight end premium as well.
Goddard, maybe. I'd be surprised if you got more for Juju than Kirk.
Dude, the thing is, no one wants to trade for Kirk Cousins. Every single season, he's rumored to be not the quarterback there. It's actually starting.
An extension, though?
I thought they just restructured his contract.
Maybe I'm wrong. It may have been a restructure.
No, I think he got 1 or 2 years added on.
Wasn't?
I think it was.
Yeah, but okay. Hold on. Are we talking Fugazi years, or are we talking like legit
guaranteed years? Guaranteed years.
So I think if you have someone who's expected to be a playoff team, loses one of their top 2 quarterbacks, and they get desperate, this will be post 2023 draft. If you can ship them off for like trying to get a 25 first, like trying to tell them like, oh, it's the first 2 years away, and they're desperate trying to make a push for that particular season, I think that would be a great move.
You should be able to get a 24 first.
Well, this would be like next season, mid-season. So 2024 would be the most upcoming draft.
Yeah.
So I think it might be easier to get.
Well, let me ask you this: would it ever be worth it to start offering out Kirk and a third for a first, or Kirk and a second for a first? Is that worth?
But not a second. I wouldn't do the pick swap. But if you can do it for a third at that point, I think that's fine.
Now, what if you did like Kirk and a second for a first and a third? One of those kind of shindigs.
Kirk and say it again,
I guess the real question is this team at the point, and it almost is how much do you believe in Kirk Cousins long term? Are you at the point where you're just like, okay, I want to sell Kirk Cousins for his value? Because I think you can still get a first for Kirk Cousins. It's just not going to be a sexy deal. It's not going to be fun. But you can do it if you give up a little bit.
The issue is, like, if you're asking me who I'd rather have, Kenny Pickett or Kirk Cousins, I'd rather have Kirk Cousins. And so...
Well, that's why you go for 24. Because he needs a 24. Yeah. He needs...
By the way, I wanted to correct myself. I wanted to correct myself earlier. Jake, you're right. For some reason, I was thinking a year ahead saying 25. I meant 2024. That's my fault.
Also, this Parker does not have any 2024 picks. He has traded them all.
So, do you ever trade down from pick 5 before the draft? Or like
where?
Trade,
I mean, we just
out. You trade out for a 24 first and a second.
Trade out, yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yes.
For that return, sure.
Yes.
Depends who 105 is though.
Well, if Jameson is sitting there, I'd feel pretty good just taking him. And you guys.
I'm moving on. Look, this is a team. Although I originally said yes, but now I'm going to say no, assuming that either Treylon trading for the 2024 first and second, because assuming that Treylon or Garrett Wilson is there, I just think we've seen it with the wide receivers, like they're just almost guaranteed. Like if you hit on the right prospects, and I think both Garrett Wilson and Treylon Burks are the right prospects, they're going to gain value, and you could just like look at Elijah Moore, or look at Jalen Waddle, or look at even Devontae Smith. Like these are all players that had solid seasons that you could trade for more than when you originally drafted them. And so with that, I think that's probably the easier way, especially with how this draft went and how people are looking at this rookie draft. Like there's just such a negative connotation and vibes around this. I think you're better off just making the pick. But if it's Kenneth Walker,
I think you convinced me.
If you take Kenneth Walker there, though, he better be off your team before the season starts, and you better gun your value that way, because there's no shot in picking Kenneth Walker at 105 and taking him into the season.
Yeah, well, that's the scary sight, is if Kenneth Walker is there at 105, and you can't trade down for a halfway decent price, then you kind of are forced to pick him and hope to trade him.
Yeah. Joe Herbert Cousins has the best agent in the history of sports. The guy made insane amounts of money to be just above average. Yeah, great deals for him, Kirk Cousins. I mean, he just there's
I wonder,
desperation.
The thing with Kirk that's always been a thing throughout his entire career, his stats have made him look way better than like what he actually is. I'm sure there's going to be people. Kirk. I'm sure there's going to be people that like 30 years from now that look back, it's like, why did everyone shit on Kirk Cousins? Like, he had like 33 touchdowns to 10 picks. But then it's like, when you actually saw him play, you could just never win the big games. That's always been the thing with him. You could just never win the big games.
He's fine. I just think like there's a lot of people who probably out there, I don't know, this might be straw man, but I think there's a lot of people out there who really like Derek Carr, where it's just, I mean, he's the same as Kirk Cousins. I mean,
yeah, no, I view them similar. Yeah. They're both in like that same too.
I'm looking at these draft picks, right? So you're going to get a running back in Breece Hall, and you're going to get 2 receivers.
Do you ever trade out of 101?
I don't think so.
I'm taking Breece Hall.
I don't think it's worth it.
I'm taking Breece Hall. Even if you don't really like Breece Hall, if you just hold on to him and wait a couple weeks, you'll probably be able to get even more value for him.
What if I offered you? It's tough with Breece Hall. Like,
drafting a player to trade him is bad process, in my opinion. I used to think that until I did it.
Yeah,
and it kind of works.
I could have traded Terrace Marshall for so much more than what I drafted him.
It's just
to who?
I think it's just because the Dynasty community has become so much more reactionary to players, which kind of makes it easy. Like when we say like don't follow like training camp hype, honestly, kind of use it to your advantage. Like if you think someone's getting like too much hype and their value's going up, that's the time to sell, and vice versa. Like, oh, chase all these drops, buy him then. Like it's so.
Well, Frank, you did it with a few players. You did it with both Jalen Reagor and then Trey Sermon in back-to-back drafts, right?
I've done it with Sermon, Reagor, what's his name? Arcega-Whiteside. Oh my God, there's so many. I can't even think of. Preston Williams. I mean, I did it with James Robinson in a league, which obviously didn't work out. I can't even, like, literally, I've drafted so many rookies and traded them after the rookie draft. The thing is that you have to remember, just because it's not a pick anymore doesn't mean that rookie players aren't liquid. It still follows the same theory of every dynasty manager wants good young players. And not that rookies are automatically great or good players, but they're valued as they're pretty good. So, yeah. And I mean, I don't know. It is tough to time the market. You just can't get too attached.
These rookie values fluctuate so much during training camp and preseason.
Dude, even the beginning of the season.
Like bullshit.
Remember Rondale Moore the first couple weeks of the season? He was worth at least a first.
Oh yeah, you could have traded him for a first plus. Yeah.
I mean, every rookie, barring you have like a catastrophic rookie year, has some crazy fluctuations. And if they're good prospects, even Rager, it's not like he went down to 0 instantly.
Oh yeah,
you can get out.
You still were able to get like I think it was a mid-second for him after his rookie year. Or like
The question, see, the problem I have with this team is that if one of these receiver he takes at 104 and 105 doesn't pan out, that hurts the plan so much, because as of right now, let's say this 2023 pick 2 and 2023 pick 5 are even like pick 7 and 9 in 2023 first round. That's still 2 pretty darn good players. You could easily have an RB1, a slew of pretty nice receivers in Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, Devontae Smith. Right?
And Juju.
And Juju. Plus another receiver next year. So there's 5 good receivers. Take a running back in the draft or trade out for a running back. All of a sudden you have a core. But it still comes down to this back end of shit.
Which, I mean, I think you can fill that back end in with a lot of underpriced, underappreciated vets to an extent, where you can go out and you can get the likes of a Jamison Crowder or a
Landry.
Even Jarvis Landry is a little more expensive at this point, but, you know, guys like that.
Would you guys ever, I'm sorry, I'm just stuck here. Like, would you ever trade that 101 for the likes of Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, or Justin Fields? Like, because Trade Cut says you can.
The thing is, I've seen people try to trade 101. I've never really seen many people do it very successfully. I think you have a better chance. I would try. I mean, when you're a rebuilder, everything's for sale. If you can overpay on anything.
I've seen 2 straight upwards 101 for player trades. One of them happened in our league with Swift. I saw it in another one with Najee Harris. Those have been the 2 101 trades I've seen with this year's 101 pick.
I still think that's kind of debatable whether that's a win or not, though.
I didn't say whether it's a win or not. I just said those are the 2 I've seen.
Honestly, I think the biggest crux is that honestly, the line needs to be higher. Maybe it is with Kirk Cousins and Juju and Goddard. You somehow need to stack some mid-round picks, and not even to pick players with them, so that you can trade them and buy back-end flex players and an RB3, because that's going to be the issue. You're actually going to have a nice little core if you keep on to your top 5, top 6 rookie picks and just pick good players. You're going to have a pretty decent starting lineup. And this is the problem with all those teams on Reddit that are all good and young in the starting lineup. Well, what do you look like on the back end? You know, you have 2 injuries, and all of a sudden your draft pick that you traded away going all in is now 103, right?
Mm-hmm. My advice is a lot of times you just kind of have to pencil in what you think your lineup's going to be for the season. Just like cross off 2 or 3. You know, 2 or 3 random ones aren't going to be there come postseason time. Majority of the time, you're going to be, and sometimes it's your star. We've seen some like the top running backs like McCaffrey, Barkley, Dalvin Cook. Like everyone misses time. There's going to be a point where you need to fill in for 1 or 2, maybe even 3 like stars on your roster. I know all 4 of us have seen it multiple years in a row.
I mean, the team that we saw literally just earlier had, going into the season, they had
their top 2 running backs, Dobbins and Etienne. Both went down.
Etienne and Dobbins, and didn't have any.
So do you ever sell Devontae Smith?
Well, you know how
yes, absolutely.
He's the second wide receiver on this Eagles offense, and
that isn't going to pass the ball. Yes, you sell Devontae Smith.
Again, I think that's already incorporated into his value now, though.
No, it's not.
He's like wide receiver 20 something. Like I don't think
it's not.
Yeah, and I think again,
how much
about hurts?
22. He's 22. It's not like he's 28. Unless you have Chris Godwin, who you like more, Chris Godwin or Devontae Smith?
Exactly.
Godwin?
No, exactly.
But I think it's close.
Next to each other. Yeah, they're ranked like 2 points away from each other.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, I mean, I think it's close.
All right, Lounis. Devontae Smith or Hollywood Brown?
Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith, Mike Evans, like
Devontae. For Dynasty, Devontae. For next
you
year,
want to know what the
Evans.
other problem with this team is? Is that we need more backup running backs.
Oh yeah, his running back depth is zero.
That's a future.
I'm talking about literal on NFL team backup running backs.
You're talking about picking them up right now? Because I like that idea. Just pick up.
Yeah, like going off of a dude. I like, because you just need to create value somehow, and come the beginning of the season, being a seller while everyone else wants to compete is a huge advantage, which is why I wouldn't be opposed, even though I like guys like Devontae Smith, Juju, Goddard, Cousins at their price. Being a seller come the beginning of the season gives you, in most leagues, a lot of leverage because everyone wants to win the championship at the beginning of the year. So Juju, okay, let's just take Devontae Smith. Let's say that Devontae Smith is worth a random 2024 first and what, a second? Is that a fair price for him? First and a second for Devontae Smith?
Too high.
I think that's around fair.
Okay, first and a third?
Maybe it is around fair. First and third, I think is, yeah.
I probably wouldn't accept the first and a third. The first and a second, there's
no way that's his value, though.
Well, let's just, let's see.
Yeah, let's just put it in.
What do we got here? Devontae Smith, 2024, late first. 2024, late second. What are we thinking? Okay, Devontae Smith is apparently more valuable than this. This is the situation actually exactly that you want to be in, because now you can stack on another second or another third or something. And all of a sudden, you have a trade that is like pretty favorable for you long term. And then the other dude is getting a good receiver to fill in his lineup at the beginning of the season. Like, this is really only achievable with the good young players to get those slightly consensus overpays. You somehow need to waltz your way into some of those. And it's going to be fucking annoying, but you just have to offer out a ton of trades on all of your players.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate trying to get those backup running backs for super cheap or even free off waivers, though. Like, I'm thinking the likes of Benny Snell, Chris Carson.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, but I don't like buying them now when he's like not really trying.
Well, dude, you need all these receivers that need to be running backs like that.
Right. The point is that you can use, if now you have Chris Carson, you got him for a few fab on the waiver wire, or a fifth round, whatever it is, whatever it may be, and the guy that has Kenneth Walker or the guy that has Rashad Penny goes down, and now Chris Carson's actually a relevant running back again. You say, okay, I'll take a third.
That's
and
fair.
You just turn nothing into a third round pick.
That's fair. And then also there's like guys at the end of the fourth, fifth that I think will be backups in, like Ty Chandler in Minnesota. If you can get him in like the fifth round. I'm saying fifth round dart throws that I think will be backup running backs. So I think Madison's going to go.
I mean, you need to do a combination of everything because for all those running backs. I mean, if they pan out and you can't sell them, I mean, what if you waltz your way into a potential James Conner-esque type of scenario? Okay, all of a sudden you've solved your no running back issue, and then B, like you guys are saying, if you waltz your way into a Donta Foreman, okay, you can sell him for a third, potentially more than a third, and now you've created that third that you need, so that next season you can trade that third for a flex receiver like a Jamison Crowder, or for that J.D. McKissick to fill in your RB4 spot. Like, those are the types of moves that can help you become a playoff team shortly. And the best way to do that is by trying to trade these crap players for rookie picks. So yeah, I'd be hard selling everything here. I mean, right. I guess the only question really with these guys is if it's worth holding until the season starts to try and sell to see if their price goes up.
I don't hate that idea, depending on who. If they have like a strong
Like
No,
Robert
neither.
Tonyan right now is probably worth a 3rd round pick. Do you ever get more than a third by holding him?
You definitely wait until the season
Yeah.
for Tonyan. 1,000%.
Just because there's no tight ends. If he has 2 touchdowns in the first 3 weeks, he's going to be worth more.
Yeah. I still think he's undervalued. I'm still going to buy him in our stock thing before the season starts because I think it'll go up.
Yeah, you need to like just look at depth charts and pick up random running backs because all these players need to try and be running backs. I mean, it also depends on how thin your waivers are. If they're super thin, you're not going to be able to do that. Like in our orphan league, the waivers are ridiculously thin, but I don't think this roster size is all that big, or you don't have enough players.
I think there similarly you could get tight ends for nothing. That you could just add to, like a Jacob Harris, OJ Howard kind of player. Just those guys at the end that could amount to something.
But
a lot of free things that you could just pick up.
Yeah, those back end wide receivers, like the hit rate on them to sell them into anything is just so much lower than the other positions. And your roster, it's not that you can't have any of them. If they're a good enough player, then fine, right? Like if you really think I don't know, Olamide Zaccheaus is going to be the next Tim Patrick, like, okay, go ahead, hold him. But you have too many of them.
What a comparison.
Your whole back end is filled with Michael Scarn, Josh Gordon, all this crap. None of these guys are ever going to increase their stock enough to where you can sell them for 2/3.
No.
I mean, maybe at their very ceiling case.
I'm surprised 1/3 for some of those guys you just said. But yeah, I mean that's my main input.
Anything else we want to add, or is this a good place to cut it off?
That's a good place to cut it, looks like.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Catch us tomorrow at 7:30. We're doing the Dynasty stock market. But yeah, another episode.
See you guys. Thanks for watching.